When you thought about getting a power-ups, you think you have to obtain it through training, through a brand new tools, or essentially just the power of friendship. However, for this particular guy, they decided the best way to actually improve his power level is through coins. And yes, I'm talking about Zorga Nadir. And let's be serious for a second here, and I can simply say Zorga definitely gained some interesting buff as he getting into his divine form, but at the same time, some of the clear issue that he used to have for the longest time still hasn't been fixed properly. And today I'm gonna be talking about what his new form actually offers and how different are they from the other version that Zorga has been receiving, because god forsake, this guy got like 4 different forms by now.
How could this happen to me?
So, Divine SoA is a little bit interesting compared to the other 3 iterations of him, in a sense that he does have his own right line. And this is where I think it gets very interesting, because a very common question that I got both offline and online regarding the Zorga is whether to run the Vanguard chain right line or the brand new right line. I will come to the difference later, but I think we have to go through what the effect is all about first, starting off with Abyss Fishing. Abyss Fishing only have one skill, and that is when this unit is rolled upon by split the preordained, aka the grade 2. So blast 1, look at top 7 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 unique card and 1 normal card among them, review them, and put the normal order to your hand, mill the units. This is good and bad at the same time, in a sense that this is a much more controlled version of the Vanguard chain, where it is still a +2 and -1, but in this time round you are choosing what to add and what to mill. And for some people this might not be a good thing, because the moment you fuck up the excavation, you really suffer. But I do say this have some use in it, because that means that you are able to keep your triggers there, but at the same time you can pick what you need the most as well. And in my honest opinion, this is where the main difference between Vanguard chain and Abyss Fishing really is, because of the fact that Vanguard chain always guarantee for you to draw 2 cards at the cost of -1. Abyss Fishing doesn't cost a single discard, but it does have a chance to whiff. And also Vanguard chain is a 10k unit, so if you guys asking which one you want to pick, I would say pick the one that you feel most comfortable with when it comes to right line, because at the moment I'm on the side of Abyss Fishing, because despite the fact that there is a chance to whiff, it is still a very good card in the sense that you have a lot more control, and what you need to add to hand is a lot more open compared to cards like Divine SoA, where you are looking for 2 specific group of cards instead of a little bit more open like this one. And the reason why I'm saying the grade 1 view kind of dictates your right line is because of the fact that the grade 2 that comes with Zorga Nadir, split the preordain, is exactly the same as Blackheart's Dragon, as he has ability to fetch back 1 normal order from your drop zone back to hand, but this time round it's only work on grade 3. And preordain has the same second skill, and that is if you play order this turn, that unit gets additional 5k. So all I can say is, if you pick Abyss Fishing, just go for preordain. It just make the whole right line works. But if you want to play Vanguard chain, stick to Blackheart. And then we are moving into Zorga Nadir himself, the fated one of Taboo. And seriously, his right line is like tentacles, goblin-like, and then long boy. How much of a fucking con theme you can get with this unit? But regardless, Zorga Nadir is also very unique because of the fact that, unlike the other Divine skill unit that we have seen so far, this unit has 3 skills. That's more or less kind of in line with how Zorga works in the more recent time. And that is due to the fact that his first skill is just simply a condition for him to... And you can see how Zorga Alchemagic evolved ever since the launch, where at the start you can only use 2 different orders and you have to bind the other order from your drop. Mass version helps him to use any 2 order from your drop to Alchemagic, and now you literally can just Alchemagic with any order that is in the bind zone.
Nice.
That is huge. In my honest opinion, the fact that he's targeting the bind zone instead of drop zone means that you can actually reuse whatever order is already there to begin with, making him, in my opinion, the easiest to Alchemagic out of the 4. But he does have an issue, and that is the fact that he can't bind order by himself using this specific skill. But then how he's gonna bind the normal order, you ask? Well, that comes in his second effects. Act on once per turn, Energy Blast 2, bind a normal order from drop. There you go. Choose up to 2 cards from your drop, call them to Raycard Circle, and they get 5k until end of turn for each different name normal order in your bind zone, and at the end of the turn, retire those units. You can see Zorga Nadir decided to copy some homework from a very popular Grand Blue unit. But this is a really good effect. Even if it is activating during the main phase, the fact that Zorga already hit a decent number even without those power boosts is a well-known fact. And now that they decided to double down on the power increment, really makes the deck very scary to actually guard, because now even with the counter heal, you might not be able to survive this deck attack. I'll get to more into the details later, but for now, all I can say is very busted effect, which kind of held it down by his Divine skill, which I can safely say is the least interesting Divine skill out of the 5 Divine boss units we have confirmed seeing so far.
Emotional, damn it!
And that is, when this is attack grade 3 or greater, Soul Blast 1, choose a column, stand all your regard in that column, and at the end of the turn, retire those units. It's simple, but it kind of shows the precedence of what Zorga Nadir ended up become, and that is a deck that is capable of doing a huge amount of burst, but the moment you decided to pull that trigger, you are running dry.
And I'm all out of bubble.
You can still do all the combo just fine, but it won't be as effective as when you use a Divine skill. And also secondly, this is still a primary 3 attack deck, and for a good reason. You're giving a deck that has an access to free crit unit additional attack, that must be joking. I mean, once per game is fine, but if you make it every turn, that's a little bit too much. Which is a good segue to talk about another RPD. Well, kind of, as Zorga Nadir did get a very strong attacker for his particular deck, and that is Abomination of Impending Karma. Karma has 2 skills, one of which is actually generic, where when he's placed on Raycard Circle, Energy Blast 4 and bind a normal order from your drop zone, then this unit get 5k for every different name order in your bind zone. So essentially, he just self-sufficiently gains the same power level that Zorga Nadir does to other 2 units. Simple but very effective. But Energy Blast 4 is the reason why I'm saying Zorga play like a shotgun. The amount of Energy Blast you are using with this deck is actually insane, and that is because of Karma. But that is fine, because Karma has a really busted second effect as well. At the beginning of your battle phase, if you have Zorga with the Divine skill and you outcome magic this turn, you may call this card to Raycard Circle, and if you call this card, increase its critical by 1 if your opponent is grade 3 or greater.
It was perfect. Perfect.
So you guys might see the similarity with Roaming Prison Dragon, except Roaming Prison Dragon is still a main attacker you want to go for because of the fact that it is still free. So yeah, this is a really busted card for a deck, and kind of solidifying the deck position as a shotgun playstyle deck. Before we get to discussion on the good and bad of the deck, let's talk about the 2 additional order that the deck did get. I'm gonna go through it quickly because I feel it is simple enough. First, we have Feel the Sky Old Brand of Corps. This is, in my opinion, a really good order for Zorga, as for one, it's free, but what it gives is really good because it essentially makes all the Raycard that was called from drop zone this turn plus 5k. That of course include Roaming Prison and Karma. So essentially, you literally can have your entire Raycard column plus additional 10k by just playing this order. And thanks to the way Zorga Nadir works, you don't really need to play multiple copy of this, as you can just use Shadow Cloak to mill this and then just bind it with Nadir so that you can consistently outcome magic for it every turn. And then the other card, in my opinion, not the best order for Zorga, Class of the Grudge Toxin, has the similar ability where it also gives ability to Vanguard, where this time round, when Zorga attack, you can retire a rear card, then you choose one of your opponent rear card, retire it, and Zorga gets 10k until the end of that battle. In my opinion, it is not a good order in a sense that this only works if you are not going into Divine skill. If you want to run this card, it is fine, but be careful on what you use.
Why are you like this?
And now that I have mentioned all the new cards, let's talk about the good part and the bad part about this group of supports. To put it simply, Zorga Nadir really makes Alchemy Magic much easier, and I feel that is the best aspect about it. Zorga also decided to copy a homework of a certain Grand Blue unit that actually allowed this deck to gain a huge amount of power to an extent that it's really hard for the opponent to ignore, especially considering that the deck still have a very strong rearguard pressure due to the innate crits from RPD and Karma. And last but not least, this is both positive and negative about the deck, and that is the fact that this card is so strong on his own. I would highly discourage you from actually playing him with Zorga Mask. Well, in all fairness, if you want to build the board version engine, you still can, but it requires a really good deck builder to actually come up with the list. Unfortunately, my version of the Mixed Zorga doesn't really work as I planned, so there's that. But then we have to move into the main negative part about this deck, as aside from needing a really advanced level of deck building, the deck is still primarily a 3 attack deck, which is fine. But I think the big problem here is that even after all this time, Nadir still suffers the same issue that the original group of Zorga did get, and that is the fact that the deck needs the order to be in drop zone or in your hand before you actually play anything. So that means that getting a card that helps you to mill to drop zone as early as possible is still a crucial key. And if you fail to do so, you can noticeably see how your game start to devolve into. So because of all that, I still think Zorga Nadir is just simply another way of playing Zorga, but it does make some of the best part about him a lot easier to pull off. But that's my thoughts about it. What do you guys think about Zorga Nadir as a whole? Whether is he gaining enough power of con to actually save himself? Do leave down in the comments below. And yeah, that's all I have for today. Take care of yourself, and this is Mac Megane signing out.